Good morning, everyone. I hope you guys are having a great week. You are seeing this, I believe, on Wednesday, if all goes well. The sign, I had to kind of interrupt the sign, making that chloride leather sign, because I just don't have time to get it finished. It's really cold weather out here. We got a lot of things happening. So that is on the next video, which will be next Monday, that you'll see the final video on finishing that up. Anyway, in the meantime, I wanted to do a video on a review on this router that Dad just did the modification on the housing. So last Saturday's Senior Moments episode, I think it was 17, he did the modification on the housing and opened up the back side of it, did it with a hacksaw. If you guys haven't seen that, go watch that. Anyway, so this is not the standard base for this base plate. So I'm going to kind of start from scratch, and I'm going to do a review today on this router, talking about the base, the router, not only that, the other versions. So let me start at the beginning. The base that you guys saw Dad do this on Saturday, this is the original plate on it. It's 4 holes, and it's clear. It's a nice clear base, but it doesn't have handles on it. So we make a base plate to fit it, and it's a 4 hole. So this router is the PR20E. Okay, so excuse me, PR20EVS, and I'll get into that in a minute. So there are actually, even though this is a Bosch Colt, there are actually 3 versions of the Bosch Colt. I've never really understood why Bosch did that, not really knowing more about it, but I did some research. Now I kind of know why they do that. So let me kind of go backwards a little bit. This is the PR20. There's also a PR10. Now it's a PR10E. This is the upgraded version from the PR10E. This is the PR20EVS. This is 5.6 horsepower, or excuse me, 5.6 amp. The PR10, the original version of the Bosch Colt, the PR10, I'm sorry if this is confusing. You guys can ask me questions. If you have questions, email me. The PR10E is exactly the same size motor as this, 5.6 amp, and let's see, 1 horsepower. That's what I was going to say. The PR10 is 1 horsepower. The PR20 EVS is horsepower. The only difference that I can see in the PR10 and the PR20 is variable speed. The PR10 is single speed. That was the original Bosch Colt, the PR10, and it's just a single speed, probably 35,000 RPM, but it's the same size motor. So then what happened is they probably got requests to make a variable speed, so then they came out with a PR20 EVS. VS, variable speed. Okay, so that's the difference between the 10 and the 20. Then they came out with a new version. The brand newest version is the GKF 125 CE. I don't know what the CE stands for. I'm sure it makes sense. I don't know. It is variable speed as well, but it's 1.25 horsepower, 7 amp. This is 5.6. The 10 is 5.6. The GKF is 7 amp. That's the first time, and I don't have one of those routers, but I did research on this. I wanted to understand the difference between the 3 different Bosch Colts. That's the first time I've seen a Palm router have the same amperage as my DeWalt 611. It's 7 amp. That's one of the reasons I like the DeWalt 611, because it's 7 amp. This GFK, or GKF, excuse me, is 1.25. It's 7 amp as well. So one of these days I'm probably going to have to get that. The other thing that they did on the GKF is they put LED lights. This does not have LED lights, nor does the 10 have LED lights. So that's another upgrade. So that what they did was they just kept upgrading the Bosch Colt, and then the new one, I'm going to get into the micro adjustment, the depth adjustment here in a second. The new one has a different version of the same kind of depth adjustment, and I'm going to get into that here in a second. I'm doing this part of it inside, then I'm going to take this outside and I'm going to actually cut with it. You guys are going to see that as well. So let's talk about the depth adjustment. This is kind of an interesting mechanism that I've never really seen before. So you've got a micro adjustment. I'm not sure if that's showing, and it's a little gear, and then you have a pin on this side. On the actual motor itself, you have this little deal. That's where the pin rides, and then you have this gear that micro adjustment engages. So let me show you how that works. So I want to drive that pin into this groove right here. I want to drive the pin on here into that groove. So I am going to hopefully put that in there, and there it engaged, and they just poked that that bit right into my hand. So I'll try not to bleed all over the bench. I don't have time to bleed. Anyway, so there's two different kinds of adjustments. So if you want what I'm going to call macro adjustment, which means you want to just adjust it with your hand, like big adjustments, then you let that little pin right in here. But if you want a micro adjustment, oops, excuse me, I had it backwards. Dadgummit, not there. Let me put it back in place. I'm still learning this thing, but I know how it works. So what I'm talking about is the micro adjustment wheel is here. So if you want to make big adjustments like I normally do, I normally don't use these things, but this gives you the availability to use both. So you want to do just big adjustments like that, just eyeball it, like I do most of the time, eyeball it, you're good. But let's say you want to use that micro adjustment, then what happens is you turn it slightly. Now that wheel is engaged in that gear. Now you use the micro wheel and you've got small adjustments. Okay? So let me take that off again so you can see that if it rides in here, I don't poke myself with that profile bit. If that pin or that little gear, that little threaded rod, if that rides in here, you've got the big adjustments. But then when you just turn it slightly, then it engages this gear in here, or this I don't know what you want to call that, but machining gear. Then you've got the micro adjustments, and that's what I was just showing you. So it's kind of cool. It's different than any one I've seen before, but you know, honestly, it's kind of cool. I'm not sure I don't like it. So I'm still learning it.
You're not sure you don't like it?
I'm not sure I don't like it. I might not like it, but I'm not sure. That's what I said. See, I'm speaking English. They know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so it's kind of cool. You've got that adjustment, but then if you turn it just slightly, now you can adjust it with the wheel, with the micro wheel. I probably won't use that. I just eyeball my adjustments. Anyway, that's kind of cool. Now, I will tell you that even though I don't have the new version, the GKF 125, I did some research on it, and they actually upgraded this whole mechanism a little bit, where it's not done by hand; it's done with a little knob. So you've got 3 different places. When that knob turns, and you can go on and Google it. When you're at the middle position, you're using the micro wheel. When you're at the top position, you have disengaged that, and now you've got the big adjustment. But then when you engage, and it's all done not by hand like this, it's done with a little lever. And then the third position is you lock it in place. So it's kind of, I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with the whole design of that. I like it much better. And I've had, you guys know my position, even though I like the little rigid router, I hate the adjustment on it. I just do. I will disengage that and just do it manually and eyeball it. I don't like the little wheel. It's hard to do. I just don't care for it. This I like much better. So, gosh, oh, the other thing about, that's what I almost forgot. The other thing about the GFK, when they did upgrade that to the 125 or the horse and a quarter, 7 amp, they also changed the hole pattern on this. The GKF has 3 holes. This has 4. So that's why we have 2 different plates. This fits the 10, the PR10, the PR20. But if you want a base plate for the GFK, it's got a different hole pattern. It's 3 holes rather than 4. Very confusing to us for a long time, and I didn't know what it was all about. But I did a lot of research on this router and the GFK just to get ready for this video, because I wanted to give you guys as much as I could on kind of educating you on these Bosch Colts. So let's go outside and let's fire this thing up and see how it works. All right, so now we are outside where it's nice and cold, which is good because it caused my not to bleed so much. So it's good. Anyway, it's chilly out here. It's in the low 40s, which crazy. Anyway, so let's fire this thing up. Again, this, if you guys aren't familiar, this doesn't come this way. Dad just did a video where he cut this out with a hacksaw. There's 2 reasons for that. And that's why the DeWalt and the Makita, let me just grab the Makita. The Makita, the same way, we opened it up in the back. Now, normally, we would open it up with a 2-inch hole saw and then cut this with a hacksaw. Unfortunately, we only had, and that was a metal cutting hole saw. If you guys want to see how Dad did that, he did it on the DWP 611 like years ago. Video number 50, hashtag 50. That's where Dad was actually doing the modification. I think we're going to upgrade that soon, do a different video on it. Anyway, that's the way we modified this one. That's the way we modify all of the DWPs. The only one we haven't done that to is the rigid, because it comes open up in the back. You don't have to modify. You don't have to cut it. That's one of the things I like about the rigid for somebody that's brand new. Anyway, so we opened up the back side. So we couldn't, because of this mechanism here, there's not room to put a 2-inch hole saw. So that's why Dad decided to do another video where he just opened it up with a hacksaw. Pretty easy to do. You don't have to have a drill press. If you've got a vise and a hacksaw, you can modify it yourself. Super easy. Now, what I was curious about, whether this was actually going to work, and again, now I have to go backtrack. The 2 reasons we do that, number 1 is for the sawdust to escape. Okay, if you don't have that opened up, and whether it's a 611 or the Makita or this one, if you don't have that, then all of that sawdust comes out the front and it goes right in your face. Literally, I call it like a sawdust fire hose. And you guys know what I'm talking about if you've tried it. It took me about 30 seconds to realize these palm routers were not going to work unless that hole was, unless that was opened up. That was actually Dad's solution to opening it up. I just knew what the problem was, and he figured it out. Like most of the things in my life, he figures a way. Anywho, so I wasn't sure that this was going to be, oh, that was number 1 reason. I'm all over the place. Number 2 reason is to let light in, because without this, now on the new version of this, they have LED lights, but this one doesn't have LED lights. So you need to have extra light in there, especially if you're carving signs with it. If you're doing roundovers on a table, probably not. But for what we do, what I do, I've got to have that opened up. So I got to have light, and I want that sawdust to escape. So I wasn't sure that this was going to be big enough for the sawdust to escape. So let's try it and see how it works. I'm not even going to put my cheaters on because I don't need them. So I think we're all good. I'm set with my profile bit at 1/4 inch deep. And I'm not plugged in. Yep, there's the plug. All right, so now again, safety, if you're plugging something in, assume it's on, have a hold of it, assume it's on. I think it's off, but it might be on. So I'm going to assume it's on when I plug it in. Oh, no, it wasn't on. It was off. So if you don't know, I mean, anytime you plug a tool in, just be expecting it to be on. Just a safety tip. Here we go. It actually cuts pretty good. I don't have a problem with it doesn't have as much power as the 611. Again, it's a 5.6 amp where the 611 is 7 amp. The new GFK, like I said, is a 7 amp. But it cuts good. I don't have a problem with the power. I think it's about the same rating as, I think the Makita is 6.5 amp, if I remember right. The Makita is 6.5 amp. It is, excuse me. Yes, 6.5. I think this is comparable to the power of the Rigid R2401, which is fine. I don't have any problem with that at all. Now, what I did notice is that because of the hole being small, it has sawdust coming out, but it's not as much as the sawdust coming at me. So here's what I would, and you know what? I'll demonstrate that because I did a test with this earlier. So let's see if we can actually see that. So what I want you guys to focus on is the sawdust coming out here as compared to the sawdust coming out there. Here we go. So I'm not sure, can you tell if it showed up? I'm not sure if that showed up on camera, guys, but I can tell you that more sawdust was coming out this side than this side. And that, for obvious reason, that hole is much bigger. So here's my solution if you're still getting buried in sawdust. Turn it around. Pretty easy, because there's still, and you know, like you guys saw, there's plenty of vision to see what you're doing. And you guys just saw Vicky was filming me while I was cutting. So if this is throwing too much sawdust at you, just turn it around and look through this hole and let most of the sawdust fly out that way. I don't find it's a problem either way, but if you do have an issue with that, then just turn it around. Huh? Yeah, I can do it. Sure. I've got plenty of vision to see exactly what I need to see by looking through the smaller hole. So that's pretty much it, guys. Actually, I'm pretty impressed with this little router, but I have to say, I'm kind of itching to get the new one, the GFK. I don't have enough routers. I want an even dozen. Gotta have an even dozen. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know how many routers I have, but I got a bunch. But it's all for you. I'm doing this for you guys. I'm a giver. That's what I do. That's what I do. I gotta buy a new router. Anyway, I am actually curious because I'd never seen another palm router that has the same amp rating as the DeWalt. So might have to go buy me a new Bosch. Anyway, we'll see. So that is it, guys. I hope this is helpful. I know I went over tons of stuff that I didn't even plan to go over, but I wanted to give you guys as much information on this as possible. So if you have questions, please let me know. Eric@makeawoodsign.com. Thank you guys so much. You know, it's what is today? Today, you guys will be seeing this, I think, on January 1st. This is the first video of the decade. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. If you guys have questions, let me know. We want to thank you guys for such an amazing, tremendous 2019. You guys gave us so much support. You buy some products from us, keep us going, doing what we do. We absolutely are blessed, and we love what we do. So thank you guys so much for all of the support. We're going to have a great year. And if you guys have questions, let us know. If you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love for you to subscribe. Click that little bell icon, because we do 4 new videos every week. We'll be on Friday. I think we'll be on Friday doing our normal live with me and Dad and Vicky. And we love you guys. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.